Yes, sir. We're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Marvel Legends X-Force Series Wendigo Build-A-Figure Wave Nightcrawler figure review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey, I'm fucking with them. Hype beast, we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about it.
6 figures in a wave. You're going to need all 6 figures to complete the Wendigo Build-A-Figure. Quick look at the box art. There is a picture of Nightcrawler on both sides. Let's get this guy open and see what's what. Alright, here we go. Kurt Wagner, aka Nightcrawler, one of my personal all-time favorite X-Men characters. This is the figure I was looking forward to the most in this wave. Our very first Nightcrawler from Hasbro, although Toy Biz gave us a few, probably the most notable being the version from the Galactus Build-A-Figure wave, but they also did a movie version, and let's not forget that that X2 scene with Nightcrawler is probably one of the best cinematic X-Men moments of all time. But they also gave us an ultimate version of Nightcrawler, which I believe I still have, so hopefully I'll be able to break him out for some comparisons. But this is another figure in this wave that was overdue for a redo, and Hasbro did the damn thing on this figure. Nightcrawler is packed in with the left arm to complete the Wendigo Build-A-Figure. His bio on the back of the package reads, with sticky hands, a sharp tail, and piercing yellow eyes, the troublemaking mutant Nightcrawler scales walls and teleports from place to place. Taking a close look at his deco, this is a classic look for Nightcrawler. He's had quite a few looks in the comic books, but you know, this is definitely my favorite, and I think this is the one that you can get the most playability out of. I mean, this is how he appeared originally. This is how he appeared for most of the 80s through the 90s. I mean, for the majority of the time. And I'm really excited to complete some of the teams that he's been a part of, including that Giant Size X-Men team and the arcade X-Men arcade game team. And I mean, you know, he was in this costume for the most part up until fairly recently, until like 2006 or 7 or something like that. I don't really have too many gripes. There's not too many paint imperfections. I really do like the buck here. Obviously, this is all brand new. They had to do something unique for Nightcrawler. There was nothing already existing that would have lent to this character. So for the previous 3 reviews, I complained about the figures in the wave not coming with any accessories, but this guy is packed in with quite a few interchangeable heads, an interchangeable hand, and a weapon. And if you know me, you know I'm gonna still complain about the fact that I want more more accessories. But taking a close look at the head that is packed on him out of the package, this is a neutral look and I like it. You can see his pointy ears. You can see they try to do a little bit of shading here at the top of the head, which looks okay, but I do like the shape of the face. The side profile looks good. Everything here looks good. I'm not sure which artist's work they may have modeled this head sculpt after, but his right hand that is attached to him out of the package is equipped to hold his sword, and you can see the handle here is gold, as is the guard, and then he's got a long silver blade. Pretty good for Hasbro. They normally don't put too much detail in the weapons, but I think this looks pretty good. And if you don't know, he is an expert fencer. His first appearance was in Giant Size X-Men #1 in 1975. We learned a little bit about him then, but throughout the years we learned more about his history. He is the son of Azazel and Mystique. Probably one of the most unique things about him is his look. You know, he kind of looks like a demon, but he is a devout Catholic, and he is probably one of the most religious characters in X-Men lore. And that duality and him struggling with his religion and with everything that the X-Men go through and some killers on the team has always been a great plot point for this character. And like I mentioned, he does have an interchangeable hand. Aside from the semi-open cupped hand that he utilizes to hold his sword, he was packed in with an additional right hand that is open with the finger slightly spread. Looks similar to the left hand, and if you'll notice, he only has 3 fingers on each hand. But here I am about to complain about lack of accessories again. It would have been nice if they included 2 more additional hands that were open with the fingers together, so he can put his hands together and simulate prayer. That would have been really cool, and I think that was a missed opportunity, but moving forward. And there's a look at that neck peg before I swap on one of his additional heads. There we go. He's packed in with an angry, sort of open mouth look. And if you'll notice, there is like a darker blue paint right on his forehead here. I'm not 100% sure what that's supposed to represent. If it's just supposed to be a look for when he's kind of coming out of the shadows, or if this is a specific look from some different iteration of Nightcrawler. I'm not sure on that. Help me out in the comments below. But I do like this. It looks good. I think it's just as good as the previous head. I don't really have any issues here. And there's his final accessory, another interchangeable head. And so this one has him smiling. And again, I don't have any issues with this. I like the way it looks. I think they did an excellent thing giving you 3 interchangeable heads. I can't really complain about that, although I have been kind of complaining about lack of accessories. And let me mention one more thing. It would have been cool for them to include some sort of BAMF effect to simulate him teleporting. I think we did get one of those accessories with the Marvel Select Nightcrawler figure, if I'm not mistaken. I may still have that accessory. Okay, so in terms of articulation, you saw that his head was on a ball joint. He's going to look down really far. He's going to look up really far. There is no issue with the head or neck, pivot, full 360. Nothing is hindering his head and neck articulation, so that's all fine and dandy. Shoulders are going to come up pretty far. The shoulder pads won't really hinder too much. You can actually still do a full 360 there. There is an upper bicep swivel. You do get a nice deep double jointed elbow. There is a swivel and a hinge on the wrist, although the wrist hinges up and down here on this side. Actually, you know what? For the open hand, it'll hinge in the traditional fashion, but with the other hand that he utilizes to hold his sword, it'll hinge up and down, but everything else is the same as far as the arm goes. You do get a nice deep ab crunch going forward and back. You do get waist articulation, T-joint at the pelvis. His legs will come up pretty far, but I noticed that if you push this to the limit, you could actually pop this leg off. So no issues there. You don't have to worry about breaking anything. And then you get rotation at the upper thigh. You get a nice deep double jointed knee. You get a hinge and a really deep ankle pivot. Now, one of my other gripes is that I wish there was a cut here somewhere or a swivel on the foot. You know, as you get him into really acrobatic poses, you can turn the foot in a certain way to make it look cool and authentic, but I really would have liked a cut here. So we saw that with the X-Force Wolverine as far as a lack of a cut, and same thing here. I can see a little bit of paint bleed right there, a little bit of black bleeding into the red there, but no big deal. Now, this was another one of my issues originally when we first saw this figure, because we were at Toy Fair when they unveiled him, and that was one thing that all of us asked. All of the correspondents, all of the media people there were asking if the tail had bendy wire, which it does not, but it is a soft plastic. You may be able to do like a hot water, cold water type of deal there, but it does rotate all the way around. So I'm looking to see what the Toy Biz tail will look like and see if there is some possibility to swap this one out for the old Toy Biz tail. But looking at the color here in general, I don't know. The colors may not match up, but at least it rotates. I'm okay with his articulation though. It is good. It is deep. It is a great representation of his ability. Alright, a few quick size comparisons. On the far left is Mr. Sinister from this same wave, and then right next to him and on Nightcrawler's immediate right is Guardian, aka Vindicator. I saw somebody ask that question in the comments of the review for Guardian. He said he was old school and he remembers his name as Vindicator, and yeah, that was definitely one of his AKAs. But right next to Nightcrawler on his immediate left is Wolverine, the X-Force Wolverine from this same wave, so you can see how those two stack up. And you know, Nightcrawler's a short dude, but he's definitely taller than Wolverine. I think this height difference is accurate, and just to be clear, this Wolverine seems to be a bit shorter than the other Wolverines that we receive recently with Hasbro. Some people are saying it's due to the boot. Some people are saying it's how the head sits on the shoulders. I don't know yet. I'll figure it out. And then we've got Cyclops, which is the typical sort of buck that they've been using for most of the Cyclops figures that they've been putting out over the past few years. And That seems about right. I think maybe Cyclops should be just a little bit taller. And then on the far right is the Puck Build-A-Figure, which I've explained I think is a little on the short side. And then here he is next to the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure on the left, on our left, on his immediate right, who is about to get an upgrade from the 80th anniversary line. I'm looking forward to that figure. And then on our right, his immediate left, is the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure Wave Deathlock. And I put these two together because I think they both were together on an X-Force team. Remember, this is like an X-Force wave. I can't get that to stay, but this is like an X-Force sort of series as well. So Nightcrawler, not the original Nightcrawler, because spoiler alert, he had got killed during Second Coming, which was a really, really emotional moment. And I really did enjoy that run, man. I keep talking about it in every damn review from this wave. But yeah, the original Nightcrawler had got killed during Second Coming, and then somehow the crew had got with some of the AOA characters, and that Nightcrawler ended up coming back to this reality and joining up with X-Force or something like that. And then I believe that Deathlock was part of that crew. So it was Nightcrawler in a slightly different outfit and not the original Nightcrawler that we know. But again, that's why I broke out Deathlock, so you can see how those two stack up as far as height. And finally, the final test. These are the two Toy Biz versions of Nightcrawler that I own. On the left, on his immediate right, is the old X-Men Classics Ultimate Nightcrawler. So this was from Marvel's Ultimate books, and they never really dove deep enough into those characters from that universe, unfortunately. We got that god-awful Ultimate Wolverine when Hasbro kind of first took over the reins from Toy Biz. And this guy was actually pretty nice. It was a decent articulation, and he had a light up feature where the eyes kind of light up. I don't know how well that's showing up there. So yeah, the eyes do light up on this guy. There we go. So that still works after all of these years. And that reminds me that I think that the eyes on this Nightcrawler should have been a bit more pronounced, especially since they made mention of his eyes in his bio. I think the yellow or the gold should have been more bold on this newer Nightcrawler. But yeah, this guy was okay, man. He had decent articulation, articulated fingers once again with with Toy Biz. But you could definitely get him into some great poses. You just didn't have any supporting characters from that Ultimate Universe to really pair him with. And the look of this guy was so much different from any other Ultimate characters that Hasbro had put out. Here's a look at those side by side. And finally, I can clearly say that the new Hasbro version is better than the Toy Biz version. I think it just looks much better. You can see my guy is kind of old. I got like 3 of these though, where this white is still kind of white. This is the one that I use to like pose up and like mess around with. So the head sculpts, man, there is a really stark contrast in the way these head sculpts look. I didn't realize before how kind of awful the Toy Biz head sculpt is. He looks like a white guy with paint and ears, as opposed to a comic rendition of Nightcrawler. I don't really like this head sculpt now that I'm really looking at it. I mean, it was great for a time. Like I feared, the tails don't match up as far as the colors go. So while the Toy Biz one does have an articulated tail that still works to this day, that could probably be removed here from the back and maybe swapped on to this one, the colors don't really match up. Now I suppose you could probably paint it so they match up, but I like the way the end of his tail looks on the new Hasbro version as opposed to the Toy Biz one. That's for one. And now the Toy Biz version was very articulated, don't get me wrong, but sometimes Toy Biz went over the top with articulation and they put it in places where you didn't even need it, and then some of the articulation didn't even work properly. Like, I don't think you need all of these joints, although I would have liked a swivel like you got on the Toy Biz version, on the Hasbro version. That's where Toy Biz has Hasbro beat, in my opinion, is that one little point of articulation right there. Maybe if he had a toe joint, that would have been cool too, But yeah, man, the Hasbro version just looks a lot cleaner and just looks much better, man. It's gonna fit in better with what Hasbro has been doing over the past few years. So Hasbro's the clear winner here, in my opinion. Chalk up another win for Hasbro here. I don't want to see any of you Toy Biz purists in my comment section talking about the Toy Biz one is still better. It's not, and oftentimes it's not. Now, while I did have a few little issues with this guy, they can't overshadow the fact that this is a great figure here from Hasbro. I love the accessories that they did give us, and hopefully somewhere down the line we will see another Nightcrawler, and maybe they will be able to pack in some of the other things that I complained that were not packed in with this guy. But this is one I would highly recommend that you pick up. You're going to need him if you want to complete the Wendigo Build-A-Figure. And as of right now, this is my favorite figure out of the wave, I got to say. Alright, so thanks for hanging out. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.
That's crispy.
And these ball joints at the hips on the Toy Biz version just don't look good. This T-joint at the pelvis on the Hasbro version is definitely superior. The red is a nice, more vibrant red.